Welcome to another episode of the Comfortable Couch Show. My name is Mark Underwood, and I am picking up, this is actually a part 2 of a previous episode entitled the Two-Sided Coin of Codependence. And this is Tails, this is side 2 of the coin that we're going to be talking about today. So let's do a reset though. And if you're new to the show, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist, so I do depression, anxiety, do a lot of relationship stuff too, but mostly it's what I've specialized in for the last 15 years or so is anxiety and depression, and trying to make some things make sense. The world of counseling doesn't always try to reduce things to an experiential level, a common denominator that people can say, yeah, I get that. You know, we tend to use some pretty fancy language and a lot of technical terms and keep it kind of up in the clouds, and I'm bringing it down to earth, hopefully. So let's reset what we did in part 1. We talked about little Jimmy is 7, and he's a normal little boy, but he's got a mother who's very passive and anxious because she's married to an alcoholic. His dad is an alcoholic and not a nice one. And he goes out on a bender a couple times a week and comes home and takes all that self-loathing out because he knows he's an alcoholic. He knows he can't cope with the real world. He knows he's acting out of weakness and addiction, and he can't carry all that self-loathing. So he's got to unleash some of it, let some of the steam out of the kettle. And little Jimmy is convenient because little kids are consumers and they're annoying sometimes and they're needy, and so he lays the wood to Jimmy pretty regularly and tells him he doesn't love him, or tells him he wishes he hadn't had him, or he's an embarrassment, or he's a bad son, or whatever. It's not nothing other than what you'd normally tell a 7-year-old to listen, you need to simmer down, or, that wasn't the right thing to do, or I'm really disappointed in you. No, this is a personal attack that dad is dropping on Jimmy. So Jimmy in part one, the first side of the two-headed coin of codependence is, my dad is a drunk and acting the way he is because there's something wrong with me. I'm making him do it. And he's sold out completely to this idea that it's his responsibility for his dad's anger, his dad's misbehavior, his dad's lack of self-control, his dad's emotional violence, whatever. It's all Jimmy's fault because that's all he knows. He's 7. He only knows himself. He believes he's the center of the universe because he doesn't know much about the rest of the universe, right? So he believes that it is somehow his lack of value, his defectiveness that is causing dad to drink and be this miserable human being. And he's 7. What else could he believe, right? So the next question is, what's little Jimmy going to do about this? His dad's a drunk. His dad's not nice and attacking him emotionally and telling him things about himself that he doesn't really know anything better than to believe. And what do you tell a 7-year-old? What's a 7-year-old going to challenge that about them? 7-year-olds are dependent on their parents to tell them who they are and why they are. So he's kind of naturally leaning that direction anyways. And it's normally he wants dad's love. So he's going to go, well, gee, it's not that I can't imagine anything wrong with my dad. All dads love their little boys. So this has got to be a me problem. So we're back to, what's Jimmy going to do about this? He now believes that it's because of him. It's because of him that his dad's drinking. Well, here's where the coin, that we flip that coin over and look at the other side. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what little Jimmy's going to do. He's going to think, well, if my dad is drinking and acting the way he is because of me, well, I'll just figure out how to be a better little boy and be a better son and make my dad happy. And if I can just figure this out, then he'll quit drinking. Because I'm the problem. So if I figure out how to solve me and quit being the problem, why, my father will miraculously transform into the perfect Ward Cleaver, perfect dad that takes you out for ice cream and pats you on the head. He's going to be Andy Griffith. He's going to be whatever your modern view of fathering is. He's going to be a great dad. He's going to, because all dads love their little boys. So it's just a matter of, what do I need to do to access the real dad that I want to believe exists? Right? So, and if I hit the right button, he'll quit drinking. I just got to figure it out. So little Jimmy is going to decide that he's going to start cleaning his room. He's going to clean his room as good as a 7-year-old can. And that'll be a great start. So he cleans his room and he shows his dad and he shows his mom. And is that going to make his dad quit drinking? Nah. And then he says, you know what? My dad used to love baseball and he's a kid. And I play Little League. So I'm going to be the best first baseman in the Plantersville Little League that they've ever seen. So little Jimmy, when he gets done with school and gets his homework done, he goes out to the back, the back of the driveway and throws the ball against the wall and practices fielding and throwing the ball back. And he practices every chance he can because he's going to make his dad proud. So what's going to happen? They go to the Plantersville Little League and little Jimmy gets a double and scores a run. Is that going to change his father's alcoholism? Absolutely not. But he's going to do whatever he can, because if it's his fault, then he has the power to fix it. Boom. And there's the tail that follows the head. If it's because of me that this thing is happening, that this person is acting this way, then if I just fix me, they'll quit acting this way and I can make them into who I want them and need them to be. Well, is this going to work? Well, we both already know the answer to this. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Dad's drinking has nothing to do with his son. Now, I'm sure, let's be at least a little fair here. I would think the temptation to drink and relieve stress might be increased by the fact that you have a 7-year-old as opposed to not having any kids to take care of at all. But it's not going to make you drink. There's no magic. Nobody has that magic power, right? But Dad's drinking really has nothing to do with his son. The reality is that this guy is going to be a blithering drunk and a malignant parent no matter which egg he fertilizes with what woman. He's going to be the same guy no matter whose kid is sleeping in the third bedroom. It doesn't matter. Now, he might react a little differently if it's a little girl. Maybe. But he's still going to be the same guy. He might react slightly differently. But it's not as though, because I've never known a parent to do this. You tell me, this is kind of a ludicrous thing to think about, but I've never known a parent that goes, I was really prepared to love this little kid, but God, this kid is ugly. He's a furry little Mike. He's an ugly little kid. I just can't love him. That'd be different if you could find some extreme cases. A child with disability might mean the parent detaches, but people, you get what you get. Parents have already pre-decided who they're going to be when they have kids, right? I'm no different parent. I'm more skilled, but I'm the same person I was with my daughter and I was with my son. Circumstances are different, but I'm still me. I haven't changed, right? Dad's drinking has nothing to do with Jimmy's behavior. Can maybe make it a little worse, make it agitate his dad a little bit. But no, Dad's a drinker. Dad's drinking no matter what Jimmy does. But Jimmy doesn't want to see this. And this is the reason that this second side of the coin is so appealing. Because why doesn't he want to see it? Well, even if he could see that his dad is a drunk and there's nothing he can do about it, think about what this would mean to tell a 7-year-old. Imagine calling a 7-year-old. I can imagine this. Picture him 7-year-old coming to my office and I have to break the news to him and say, hey, listen, Jimmy, you need to understand something. Your dad is always going to be an angry man who's out of control, who will never give you anything good. You're never getting anything good from this guy who brought you into the world. Never. You're getting nothing. And not only are you not getting anything good for him, no matter what you do, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you are the greatest baseball player that Plantersville ever saw. I don't care if you grow up to be a bodybuilder and the best looking kid on the block, or you come up with a cure for cancer. He's never going to be who you want him to be. And not only are you never getting anything good from him, you probably are going to have to start learning to protect yourself from this guy. Because he's violent. He's emotionally violent and dangerous to you. You're in a house with a guy who is meaning to do you harm. What 7-year-old's going to be able to tolerate hearing that and be able to go, well, this therapist guy just told me this. I better buck up and no. It's going to be a horrific thing to say to a 7-year-old. Way too much weight for a 7-year-old to carry. So what's he going to do? You're not going to be able to tell this really needy, hungry, desperate 7-year-old who's looking for his dad to tell him who he is that there's no hope. You might as well just give up on the idea. He's a hopeless drunk. There's very little change. You're not going to get anything good. That's inconceivable. I mean, it's hard enough. I've talked to people in their 40s and 50s that are successful in adult life that cannot deal with the fact that their parents will never give them acceptance. That their parents can never be a good mother or a good father, no matter what they do, what they achieve. They just can't believe they keep thinking, well, why wouldn't they want to love me if I do the right things? Why can't they be a good person? Well, we're back to this little magic rub of the coin says, but I want to believe that it's me that's causing it, because if it's me that's causing it, it's me that can fix it. All right? So you want to believe heads because it means you get to believe tails. If I believe that I'm the reason this is happening, then I can also have the hopeful belief that I can fix it. Now, it's a false hope, but it might be what psychologically saves him when he's 7. And it might relieve some of his anxiety and keep him from a complete meltdown. Because if you tell a 7-year-old, listen, you're on your own, you better learn to, your mom can't really help you because she's as overwhelmed with the whole situation as you are, and she's not able to leave him. And this guy, you're just stuck with a bat. Oh, that'd be horrific for a 7-year-old to come to that conclusion. But he needs to believe this. It's the second side of the coin is a necessary coping mechanism when you're 7, but it's not when you're 27. Right? Because the first belief that it's your fault that people act that way, it's a reflection of your lack of worth, not their values, not their beliefs. It's not them, right? My husband is acting this way because of me. I'm not pretty enough, or he doesn't get enough for me, or he's not getting enough sex, or he's not getting enough romance, or I put on 10 pounds or whatever. Well, the back half of that, which really causes the long-term damage is, well, I believe it's my fault. But I can fix it. And then that starts a bunch of behavior problems. So Jimmy works hard. He goes to baseball practice. He's trying. He's pressuring dad now for approval. He's only going to provoke more anger from dad. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And here's the thing. Here's where the codependence comes in my view, where people kind of create this bond. See, dad doesn't want to own any of his problem. He's not going to stare Jimmy in the face and say, you know what, you're right. I'm a drunk. I'm an alcoholic. I need to go to AA. It's going to be a long, hard road. I've done a lot of damage. I'm just not a very good person. I'm a defective human being myself. I'm an alcoholic. No, he's not going to do it. He's going to be all in on this idea that it's Jimmy's fault. Oh, he's going to be shining up this coin and selling it hard because he wants Jimmy to take the blame for his alcoholism, for his behavior. And he want his wife to do too. It's all their fault. If they just were better, I wouldn't drink if they were just this. He's going to be happy to let Jimmy chase him around and try to fix this thing. There's the codependence. There's where they're both dependent because they're two people working together in this really strange way to support a lie. An untrue belief that gives one person a get out of jail card. A get out of jail free card. Jimmy's dad, nope, not my fault I'm drinking. It's Jimmy's fault. It's my wife's fault. And another kind of a long, maybe lifetime prison sentence of believing that, hey, my dad was that way because of me. If I was just such a rotten person, he wouldn't have been that guy. And I got to live with this. And I've inherited this defective sense of self. I now have this distorted sense of, well, I know Jimmy's a 7-year-old, right? He's a normal kid. He's a good kid. But he believes he's somehow a failure. And he's going to live with that. And that poison is just going to run through his veins, and he's going to develop, there's a list of, used to be 10 cognitive distortions that make up like depressive personality patterns. They've upped it to 12. I've even seen 14. But a negative way of looking at oneself and a negative way of looking at one's life that's distorted, that creates and facilitates depression. And we'll get into that another episode. But this is how it's created. The first coin flips over and it's my fault. The second, but I can fix it. So then I embark on a lifetime of fruitless and hopeless chasing of my father's approval and trying to fix him. But a kid, you can understand this, but here's how it affects adults, because I see it all the time with adults, right? These two false beliefs, they bring a temporary and false sense of relief from anxiety in adults. Because, let's put it this way, let's pick on the guys first, and I'll flip it on the girls. I try to even it out, make nobody the hero and nobody the villain. Let's say a woman is really concerned because her husband cheated on her once. He went away on a business trip and he met some girl and he had sex with her. And he comes back and he's apologetic and he's ashamed or whatever. She finds out. He doesn't confess, because rarely people confess. Usually they get caught. And she's got two issues here now. She's got to look at this coin and go, do I want this coin or not? Because she could say, well, look, I got no guarantee that this guy isn't going to go on another business trip to Milwaukee and find another, hoochie in a bar and sleep with her. That's a lot of anxiety because I got no control. I don't know whether my husband that I love and that I build a family with and we've got 10 years of memories with and I'm attached, I don't really know whether he's got any self-control or whether he's even an honorable guy. Maybe he's just lying to me. No. I'm going to pull this coin out of my childhood and say, you know what? I'll bet he cheated because we didn't have enough sex. Or I'll bet he cheated because I nag him too much, or I don't make him the right dinners, or I don't do him the blah, 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 blah. And that's why it's happening. But then that's kind of a healing. That's a positive thing because, now I don't have to worry about just the random chance that he's going to be faithful if some girl comes onto him. Now it's under my control. Now, if I just give him enough sex and I give him enough attention and I make his meatloaf the way he wants and I'm sweet and I'm this and I'm that and I wear the blue dress he likes, he won't cheat. I now have control. I can transform him and make him a faithful husband. Right? No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But it's a really, it's a pleasant fantasy. Because it relieves anxiety, right? I see it all. I'm working on a book right now on consequence-based parenting. And one of the myths that parents trip up on all the time is they go, well, if I just give my kid enough, they'll be satisfied and they won't act the way they do. Well, good luck with that. Good luck somehow filling a kid up enough that a kid says, you know what? I was thinking we were going to go for ice cream, but I've had enough fun, enough pleasure, enough candy today. Nah, Mom, you just kick back. Watch a show. I can live without. I've got two kids. One's 30 and one's 17, and I've never known them to do that. Not when they were kids. Or, I don't need not one bit more of attention, Mom, Dad. You guys just go on and spend evening with yourselves. I'm just going to go play something in my room. I'm good. And I've seen parents just exhaust themselves and then beat themselves up. I've had people, really, I can think of one who came to me who's suicidal because her kids just were so needy. And she said, what am I doing wrong? I go, what do you mean, what are you doing wrong? You're doing everything right. You're doing so much right that they can't get enough of you. They don't need it. They don't need all of you. You're not the problem. You're not the problem, right? And this is an adult pattern of codependence. People come to me all the time and will say, well, but maybe the reason they're acting that way is because of me. Nah, they're acting that way because that's who they are, right? That's who they are. That's who they have been formed and who they have sanctioned being. Like nobody made Jimmy's dad drink. Jimmy's dad found alcohol all by himself. So this codependent pattern is something that both facilitates depression and anxiety. It gives an initial relief, a comfort that says, hey, maybe I have some control over somebody and I can make them into who I want them to be. But it doesn't stick. It doesn't work. Right? Now, what I think is that this whole pattern is a throwback to childhood, obviously, and it's an objectification. It's not respecting the individuality of others and that they are who they choose to be. And you see it all the time. It's a hard thing to do, hard thing to accept that people have the freedom of choice to be who they want to be and do what they want to do, right? So I've given you, I think, a fairly strong working model of what codependence is. That person is not acting that way because of their own values and beliefs and their own character. They're doing it as a reflection of me. I'm making them act that way, but because I'm making them that way, now I can fix it. I just got to figure out how I made them that way. I got to unmake them that way. But we still have one episode left to finish this out, which is, what do you do to get rid of the coin? How do you get rid of the coin? And that's what I'm going to do in the next episode, which is figuring out how to ditch the coin or transform or get rid of the coin. Get rid of codependence. How do you get rid of it? I'm going to go into that again. But anyways, listen. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me for these episodes. And if you want to go to my website, thecarmelcouchshow.com, and send me a question or a comment or anything, be happy to, or leave it on the YouTube channel. It's on Spotify and Apple too. I don't do this to make money. I do this to hopefully have a positive impact on folks. And it's free therapy, because this is the things I talk about in sessions all the time, right? Talk about them in sessions all the time. And this is a pattern you see when you're a therapist. You see it all the time. All the time. Listen, let me tell you something. Therapists do the same thing. I can tell you, you know what? I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to make this stretch out a little longer. I'm telling you, even therapists do this. I once had a gal come to me, and her husband was screwing around with some girl at work who was married. They were both married. And she went to this therapist, and this therapist said, well, you know, I think he's acting out because he's not getting enough attention at home. I think you guys need to rediscover each other. You need to start meeting told this woman, this licensed professional counselor told this woman, you need to meet more of his needs, because he wouldn't be having sex with this cute girl at work if he was getting it from you the right way. She put it on my client and said, no, this is your fault he's acting this way. Well, the reality was, no, he was an overgrown 5-year-old who'd been pushed into a very strict religious belief system and church by his parents. And now that he was 27 or 28, he was ready to live the way he wanted to live, which was do whatever felt good. I don't care. And so she tried this. She was actually rewarding this guy for bad behavior. She's taking him out and trying to date him. And this guy loved it. He loved the whole deal. He's like, look, I still get my side chick at work for this exciting affair. And I've got this idiot therapist who's convinced my wife it's her fault. And now she's doubling up. I'm getting it from both sides. This is the greatest thing ever. This is like double Christmas. This is a common belief, even in my profession. How many times I've dealt with therapists, I find them crying out back of the group practice. I just can't get people to change. They won't make the... What? You think you believe it's your power to make people change? I can tell you this, from working with people who are depressed, I remember what the psychologist who trained me, Dr. Tom, said. He said, Mark, let me tell you something. He said, I'm not going to train you as a cognitive behavioral therapist unless you can accept one really hard thing. And I said, I guess, what is it? And he goes, you don't have the power to make people not depressed. I don't care how good your interventions are. I don't care how loving you are. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how cool your office is. I don't care what you do. There are some people that walk in your office and they've already decided they're going to kill themselves. They're going to end their life, or they're going to stay depressed the rest of their life no matter what you do. And if you can accept that it's not in your control, you can't, the second half of the second side of this coin, tails, you got no power. You can't make people into who you want them to be. They have the responsibility, and only they have the power to change themselves. Well, I know a lot of therapists that believe that that's on them. They can make you change if they try hard enough. I've seen it so often. It's, a lot of therapists have drinking problems or, pop pills. I've seen it. It's true, but listen, you have no control over anybody but yourself. That's the reality of this. But we're going to get into this. We're going to do one more episode that's going to talk about how to neutralize this codependent instinct. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. I ran a little over. I hope that's okay. If it's not, you probably already turned me off. But that's okay too. But listen, I appreciate you hanging in with me again. Go to my website if you want to send me a question. I'll do a mailbag episode. Happy to do that. And I appreciate all your support. And I want you to keep your thoughts clear, straight, and true until I see you again. And I appreciate you hanging in. Best wishes. See you soon. Thanks.
Don't stop trying now.